And welcome everyone to another community StarCraft event brought to you by Logan. This game is the Winners Bracket Semifinals to the SC24Life Silver and Bronze League Tournament. In the bottom left-hand corner of Cloud Kingdom, we have the as of yet undefeated Orange Zerg opponent, KingItchy. And up in the top right-hand corner, we have the light pinkish color Protoss player, also at this point undefeated, KingItchy. So this map, everyone knows Cloud Kingdom. It's a very popular map. Remember, you have a narrow choke, really easy to defend with all this high ground, so it's pretty easy to also take and hold this natural with the pretty small choke. And then this front area can be a little bit difficult to hold, especially once the rocks are taken down. And this third is relatively close by, so it's very common to see three basing strategies, because once you're done taking this base, the question is, do you want to take this one here that's super awkward and far away, or do you want to take this one over here, which, believe it or not, is much harder to defend than this one up here. So in the production tab, we see that everything is going just normal. I would like to point out, for this point in time, there's only a forward pylon, which would indicate that KingItchy is going to do some sort of fast expand, because this covers almost this entire area in power. So he should be able to quickly wall off after throwing down expansion. Also, if you go scout a Protoss, or you see in the supply that they're at 15, usually gateways go down at 16 unless you're saving up for Nexus. Not 16, 13, my mistake. Well, it looks like we have a 14 pool going down. He did see that nothing had happened as of it. Ooh, in the very early... wow, it's the Nexus first build. That's very greedy. This 400 mineral investment will pay for itself, but not for the first few minutes. So if KingItchy can hold off any aggression and remain stable without taking too many losses, he should be in a sizable advantage. Now, the correct response for a Zerg player in this position, who has now seen, or will see shortly, hopefully, that the correct response is to take an additional base and then one more. Actually, back in the day, there's an American, like Wings of Liberty, way back in the day, came out 3 years ago now. But there's an American Zerg player who plays professionally, whose name is Idra, who's famous for his rage quits and all sorts of other interesting things. However, he had a whole show about how imbalanced StarCraft was, primarily with the Colossi of the Protoss, and how he was unable to defeat it. Of course, this is just a broad generality. It's not that he never ever defeated a Colossus. That would be absurd. And basically what it came down to is that they didn't patch the game, and people just learned that in a fast expanding Protoss player like this, Zerg players had to have an additional base, and this kind of led to the realization that you have to be up one base on your other race opponents as Zerg. So it'll be interesting to see how this works out, because KingItchy is not taking another base. In fact, it looks like he's going for some sort of one base aggressive strategy. So the idea is that while the Protoss are teching up usually until 6, well, actually probably it's closer to 8-9 minutes, they're basically unable to put on any pressure before Warp Gate is done. So because Warp Gate is delayed with the 2 base, you have a lot more time, and you can completely saturate 2 expansions. And then when everything starts to get kind of crazy, you actually have the economy to sustain a really large army. I also want to point out that generally Zerg players have a higher army food size, especially in the mid game, because it's easy for them to get lots of roaches real quick. So back home, it is at this point dead even. So just wanted to point that out. Also notice the worker lead. KingItchy is now down by 8 workers, and that lead will continue to... he'll be behind by an ever-increasing amount. There, he's up to down by 10 at this point. He does have Lair on its way, and he does have a pretty decent number of Lings out here. With this cannon, though, and these 2 units in front, he shouldn't really be able to get too much done. However, now that's almost 24 Zerglings. That's quite a bit. Looks like he's going to engage this. He's going to take out both of these units. They're now on move command. When you're on move command, you actually cannot move. Aptly named. It's actually, you can't move, but when you're trying to move and you can't, you just get stuck trying to move, and then every unit gets a free shot on you. So if your units are surrounded, just let them attack. It'll actually do a little bit better. But so it looks like KingItchy's feeling a little bit under pressure right now, as he should. He saw a whole bunch. He's throwing down another cannon. He really should wall this in, because right now the Zealot that was plugging the hole is gone, and now we have Lings in the base. Lings in the natural. The Lings are taking down this cannon. The cannon getting a good number of kills. We do have an Immortal on its way soon, but nothing other than that. He does have one Zealot that's going to start taking a few swings at this Roach, but the Roach is now going to survive, and this cannon should hopefully repel these Zerg units, and instead they're headed right up into the main. There's absolutely nothing to defend the main. Well, interested to see how the micro-control of KingItchy is. I'd like to see him mineral walking. He's actually just going to pull every single last worker down to the main, to the natural. It's actually a great choice. Remember, there's now... there's an Immortal. Immortals are excellent against Roaches, but terrible against Zerglings. So the Zerglings are going to be doing really well, and he does remember to focus down. Nice job there, picking off that Roach, the high-value unit. Now with just 5 Lings left, it still is going to be a nuisance, but should not be overwhelmingly powerful, especially now. There's a cannon. He has completely denied all mining, except for 2 guys on gas at this point in time. He does have a continued one-base aggression from Kirli. The probes do take out the Lings, so he can resume mining. This cannon will get off 1 shot before it goes down. And it looks like some more units are going to make their way in. He still has not walled this off. There is another cannon finishing. You don't want to engage with that. However, it doesn't look like he has much of a choice at all. Behind this, Kirli is continuing to macro. His harvester count is still 10 below his opponents, even though he's killed off a good number. KingItchy has been constantly producing workers throughout this entire engagement. There we go, 2 more right there. He is blocking this off with that Zealot there. That did clean up and prevent the other units from escaping. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about Kirli continuing to put on additional aggression. Warp Gate, I believe, is done. He should be able to warp into Warp Gates. There you are, you see it. And within a minute or 2, he'll be able to be much more aggressive. At this point, I think just throwing... These would be just sacrificial units. Now that there's an additional Immortal here, as long as this Zealot stays in the way, these Roaches will die immediately. I'd really like to see Kirli pull back, but it looks like Kirli is committed to this aggression. He wants to continue pressing in, and there goes the Immortal. 1 kill. 2 kill. It looks like the Zealot here is actually going to get a good amount of damage blocking things off. The Lings do get in. The Lings actually might focus down. No. The Immortal will simply shrug off the damage and will be able to continue causing massive pain. It looks like the aggression is going to start tapering off. No more Roaches. That's really the key way to know what's going on. And he has produced additional drones for the first time in quite a long time. It looks like he's going to do a little bit more. Might get that Zealot. Might get the Stalker, but the Stalker's up against this wall, and with this much firepower, yeah, nothing that the Zerg units could do to actually take out that Stalker. So remember, those last few trades were very cost inefficient for Kirli. So we'll see if he can stay in this. Remember, it's usually we see 3-base Zerg against 2-base Protoss, not recent 2-base Zerg against long-term 2-base Protoss. A few workers, there we go, now noticing that not all of his workers were mining. Looks like we do have another base going down. We do have a lot more drones, some additional Roaches, and then Spire on the way. Where is this Spire? Spires take forever to build. Here it is. Spires also look like creep colonies. They're not creep colonies. Whew. Spore crawlers and spine crawlers. We've got a lot of cannons back here. Nothing to defend. If in case of immune harass, this could actually do quite a bit of damage. However, with all of these gateways warping, and it looks like KingItchy is about to go onto the offensive, and with the economy advantage that he's had for quite some time, he's got a little bit of a bank. He should be able to warp in quite a bit. He does have enough supply finishing up at the same time, and a lot of sentries. There's a very popular attack right now, or right before Wings of the Bird ended, called the Immortal Sentry All-In, and it was taking advantage of the fact that 3-base Zerg could sometimes just kind of sit back for too long, and it'd be hard for the Protoss to actually overcome it. And the Immortal Sentry All-In was basically like a 7-8 gate, mostly sentry-heavy attack, usually with a warp gate to help micro these Immortals around. And because of the force fields on the sentries, you could actually keep the lings and roaches away from the immortals, and you could actually decimate things. It's a very powerful attack, and this looks like a modified variation. And notice the food count. All the investment that Kirli has had in drones in the recent while, he's now caught up and it surpassed his opponent in drones. However, the late income, he's super broke. He's got a lot of gas, but nothing else. He does have some more lings being produced at this time. It's just the economy is hitting too late. During the time when his opponent couldn't do anything in terms of preventing these expansions, he spent his time attacking, got a lot of damage done, but it doesn't look like it's going to be sustainable. Looks like KingItchy's noticing the scouting worker, does take out an additional overlord that does not supply block him. However, in the production tab, there's only 2 more roaches in production. This number of immortals and stalkers should easily be able to take out this entire force. The force field should go down, keep all these zerglings away from the units. Looks like it doesn't really matter with the sheer number they have. And back into a corner, looks like these units are going to go down very quickly. Warping in some additional units. Look at the APM. Just like to point that out. I've been playing at their tip-top game. I just don't see how Kirli is going to be able to hold this off. He really needs to vacate this base. Should not be engaging right here. These are sacrificial units. Does get through the shield of the immortal, but just barely. That will regen before much else happens. We do have Muta on its way, but at this point, I don't know how in the world he could hold it. There's no way that he's going to be able to hold this ramp. He needs to pull back and engage in a wide open space with all of these zerglings. This base does fall. Some workers are lost in the meantime. Additional warp-ins, and these units trying to mineral wall. Those are sacrificial drones, buying some things a few times, but just not that much. We do have more mutas in production. Not entirely sure where those are coming at, but I don't know if there's any way that Kirli will be able to come back from this. He's now at half of the supply of his opponent, and his opponent is right in his main, taking out every single drone. That's going to be painful. That is quite painful. Spawning pool going down. I think actually a spawning pool being created right there. There is a pretty decent muta count, and there's nothing back home to defend, but remember there's warp gate, so just because there's nothing at home to defend right this instant, even if somehow Kirli can counterattack, I don't know how I can stay in this sustainably. It looks like KingItchy noticing that although there's still an additional building left, which I'd like to point out will slowly die off creep. I really always want to see it, some Zerg buildings die off of creep. Looks like he knows there's got to be another base out here somewhere, and he has no idea where it is. However, it looks like he strongly suspects that there's a sneaky base right up here. So you see the creep. He knows that this is the last base of his opponent. The queen putting up a good fight. Nothing you can do. However, this is a pretty good flock. I think I'm going to go with murder. A murder of mutas. Just kind of rolls off the tongue. There's nothing here to defend, so a lot of these should go down. A lot of workers lost. 3-4 stalkers being pulled in, warped in, and it will push the mutas back. However, his entire base being ravaged, even the larva, poor larva. He's engaging. He should not be engaging the stalkers. He should be taking out every single worker. However, with the bank he's gotten, I don't know if there's anything he can do. He could swing back around, take more out of here. It looks like he's electing to engage straight up. There's actually not much left. It's just a matter of time before this Roach Warren dies. So we do have an additional warp in. It looks like he was going to take out this initial wave, but with 8 warp gates worth of stalkers, Kirli is going to be down to nothing, and it looks like KingItchy is going to be moving on to the grand finals of the tournament, with Kirli being bumped down to the loser's bracket to potentially come back and face KingItchy again. So, excellent game, everyone. It was very entertaining. The one base pressure from Kirli caused a little bit of concern to KingItchy at the beginning of the game, but he kept his composure, was able to defend it quite well, and then as the one base attack from Kirli kind of petered out, he was able to come back with a strong 2 base, I think 7 or 8 gate attack that Kirli just was not ready to deal with at that point in time. So good luck to KingItchy in the grand finals, and good luck Kirli in the losers bracket, and we hope to see you again.